So there's the piece cut, ready to go, and after having a bit of a think, I've decided, what am I going to do? What did I decide to do? That's right. Now, if I put that there, I was looking at cutting off this end, or cutting a bit out of there and slotting it in and all this sort of stuff, but having a close look at it, I've got what looks like a moulded bolt hole here. So if I cut straight down there, I've got a hand grip which is comfortable to hold. I've got this little notch here that gives you a physical warning, don't go any further or you might shoot your hand off. And I think that's going to work. And just put it like that, just put some plastic over that, block that up. You know, this will be painted somewhat like the mechanism here, like a, what do you call it, like a control block or something, maybe even put in the on-off switch in there or something. That's an idea. Could even use that as the battery box. There's another brilliant idea. I am a genius. The internal moulding there runs all the way along, so even if I cut it there, it's still going to look like this, except for the flat bit, but that's easy. I can just fill that up with putty or put a piece of plastic over it. Right guys, just made the cut. I cut it a little bit extra so I can just sand it down. Should just slip on like that. Look at that. Pretty cool, eh? I hope you can see this. Yep, there we go. Talking about using this as a battery box, this area here, it's actually a magazine well. So what I can do is make my magazine, cut it into a shape that'll fit in there, maybe take a little bit out of here, and I've got a battery box. And if I just use Canon plugs, I can just click it in, click it out. So I'll get this foregrip on and this top bit done, and then we'll work on the buttstock. So back soon. This is a bit too much. I could make it fit, I'm not sure, and it'd be a lot of work. So I looked around for some other things and I came up with a few other ideas. It was using a bit of this. No. Nope. Oh, hell no. We have a winner. So after all those options, I think I've decided to go with this one because it was one of the first weapons I had out at the beginning of the videos. And also I found it actually fits on there quite nice if I put it there. There's just a little bit of trimming to do on the inside here, which is not going to be a bit of a problem. There's bugger all in that thing. So as you can see, because it has to slide backwards and forwards on the actual original, and sanding off the Nerf crap will be easy. So that will go probably about there. So take it right up. So from the pistol grip to there, just on 16 inches. If I chuck that on as well, somehow base grip on, or maybe just cut one part so that actually fits in. That's a possibility. There's a pretty good match between those two lines there. Maybe not even have to cut it, that way I can keep that top screw mount. And yeah, maybe just a slot in the base for that to fit in, and a slot up there for that to fit in. Somewhat like, even though it's upside down, somewhat like that. I'll start cutting and grinding and get... Right guys, I'm just in the process of fitting the buttstock, and I need to know how close these metal bars get to the back there. And a simple thing I do, I put some old paint on the end of those bars, just slap it on, and just slot the gun on to where you think it's got to be. So it's got to be there, and there's no paint on there, so it's not touching. And I can see under here there's a gap of about a mil, maybe two. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of plastic off up here. Okay, let's try again. Oh, hello, that's interesting. Yeah, if you can see in there, let's see if we can get something to point with. I've been doing this in the past and there's a little bit of green there, but there's a new little lump of green up on that ledge there. So what I'm just going to do is grind that out. Right, excuse the handheld camera guys, but it'll be easier this way. So there's the buttstock. So it'll be screwed in there. Those gaps there will probably be covered or possibly filled with putty. Here's the piece from the Centurion. That'll go in there, something like that. Or actually, more likely like that, because it covers it all up. But you can see there's an awful lot of work cutting this out. Let me just show you some of the things. Basically ground out everything from inside there. had to grind a notch out of one of those shelves at the back. And on this, what I managed to do, because I had the screw up the top I wanted to keep, I've just taken off the top corner here, along here. So what I'm going to do when I pull this apart, because I've got to do things inside, is put some putty on the inside of there just to make that strong. Alright guys, just moving on. So I've got the butt fitted. I'll put this where I want it, and I've traced around it with a mechanical pen. So I've got a pencil line there to cut. I'm going to cut all this out because instead of trying to put a step in this, just going to make the top of this completely flat. So I'll sit on this red all the way back here. And at the very edge here where you might see some of that ground away plastic, there'll just be a plastic, an epoxy buddy join. And I'll go like that, fill up that hole, back again. Now, I've got this ready to go on. I've sanded along there, drilled little holes and even cut some little slots so my goo goes in nice and easy. So that goes on there. I've cut that area back. That goes on there, and I've cut this to fit. Obviously the thing to do is to glue that first, let it dry, then fit this on, glue it, and then do the putty. Okay, so there's my foregrip. I was wondering how to cover up that, because that's the front end. That's the back end, and it looks nice, and the magazine construction comes in there and hides it anyway. But it suddenly occurred to me, I've got dozens of these things, and they're quite interesting detail. And being clear, it will help me position it. So I'm just going to slap some of my goo on there, position that across there somewhere, get it in the right spot, put a heavy weight on it, let it dry. So I'll leave the camera on and show you what I'm doing. It's pretty straightforward. Oh, there's an idea. What I'm going to do is put a few holes in this as well. This is just to give the goo a little place to squeeze into, help form more of a bond. I reckon if the goo I've got is so thick it's not going to leak much or move around much. So here we go. Oh, what lovely goo. What lovely goo. If you're a bricklayer, when you're putting cement on the mortar on the bricks, it's called buttering the bricks. I suppose I'm buttering the plastic. And I wouldn't want to eat this stuff. I suppose they call it styrene glue, not just because it's for gluing styrene together, but it has elements of the styrene chemicals in it. Right, just going to put that in there. Now I've got a little bit of time to work with this. It doesn't dry that quick. Now let's just slide that back on there, see if we can get it on easily. Yep, that goes all the way on. I can see that just a little tip here, this little slope is pushing against that, so I could just got to grind out a little bit later. That's alright, but I'm going to leave that. Oh, only just. There we go. When you're clamping things, always try to clamp from opposite ways, or so the stress of this pushing down on this side is equal by the stress of this pushing down on this side. I bought these as a pack at one of those discount red dot stores. I didn't expect them to last very long at all, but they're actually quite good. So now if I've clamped that on right, it still should be possible to slide this on. Here we go, look at that. So it's in a perfect place, it's clamped down. I'll give that like probably the rest of the day to dry along with the other piece. Okie dokie, another one of those serendipitous moments. I was looking for a possible buttstock, knocked over a box, and this tumbled out. The hand grip off a Vulcan. It's almost made to look like it fits there, isn't it? Even with the curves that go around the screw holes, you could cut out a slot, virtually the width of that, and just drop it in. However, as much as I like that, I also like this. And I do like the way the bottom of that fits on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut slots in the back here gradually and fit that in and see how I go position wise. And if I can get it in like that, even with a little gap, I'm quite happy. and then just a bolt straight through it or something. Alright, so one of the easiest mods I've done on this build, just a couple of slots, match the tabs, and it pretty much just clicks in. There we go. Voila! Anyway, so that's nice and glued on, and when I put on the rear piece, it actually covers some of those little areas of goo. In fact, it covers so well that I'm not going to putty this on, I've decided, and I'm going to use other pieces to cover this up with screws, so I don't have to do any puttying or anything like that, because I just like the fact that it's easy to get on, and it'll also make it easy to mount this rear piece on. As you see, I've been carving and cutting, but what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put paint around that outer edge, press it in and get a template where to cut, and starting at the top I'm going to work down and cut out just as much as I need to do to get it to just push fit in there. Got some of my crappy green paint, and just going to make sure I just put it on that outer wall. This will just give me a cut line to follow, and it's better than holding this on the piece and trying to draw around with a texture, because there's a little bit of give and take and little spacings. So here we go. It's in the bottom there. Now it's not actually touching, so I'm just rocking it to get it to touch. So I've got a rough idea, but it's given me enough paint on there, you can see little dots virtually on that pencil line there that I've already drawn. So use the Dremel to start cutting, or as my wife would say, cutting. So, here we go. The other bit, the foregrip, there we go, all nice and glued. It's all glued, ready to go. And cutting is very simple. Got my cutting disc on my Dremel. So all I'm going to do is, cut it down more to get right down to it, then just sand off the little bits to the left. Right, now using parts of my brain, finish that. That's just wide on for the moment. That goes on like that. So, drawing a texture line along here, so I know that part of the hole is going to be covered by that. So I've got a little bit of leeway with these parts. Now if I put that one on there, there's a gap up here, but just put the other side on. So that covers it. I can put screw there, screw there, screw there. And if you look carefully, you see where that goes is a little bit too high to hide that. So I'm going to cut that off there and just lower it down and just put a little bit down there. Right guys, okay, as you see I've got the front flange from the Centurion barrel fitted. That one goes in on the other side. Now I cut them off both sides because it actually transpires that the one that goes in the other side, this bit that I cut off works on this side better. What I'm going to do is cut that line to match that line so I can move it a bit further forward, use the whole thing, and also help to hide that little faux pas there. So that's basically the rear end done.